Welcome to the presentation on the Blockchain Trilemma by the Trifecta group. What is the trilemma? Trilemma means there are three axes. Let's understand what those axes are. Fundamental to the development of human society is cooperation, which is underpinned by trust. Modern platforms such as Uber, Airbnb, Visa, iTunes, and Amazon Marketplace act as digital trust intermediaries, providing trusted services at scale. An unwanted feature of these platforms is the full centralization of trust into the intermediary, leading to several frictions. A natural direction of evolution of these platforms is the democratization of power and agency into the hands of the users of these platforms. Attempts to provide democratized services at scale have had a long history in the form of peer to peer services. Peer to peer data sharing networks such as BitTorrent dominated the internet traffic at some point in its development, but due to the lack of formalized incentives and trusted outcomes, they lost out to other services. Bitcoin heralded a new era of democratized trust where a purely decentralized protocol guaranteed a secure ledger. This created much excitement in the potential of creating democratized trust services. However, the main pain point with Bitcoin, as well as later developments such as Ethereum, is the inability to scale performance efficiency. That these three attributes of decentralization, security, and scalability need to be achieved simultaneously for a blockchain to be successful has been well noted. However, the repeated failure of attempts to achieve these together has given rise to the so-called blockchain trilemma. The trilemma states that it is impossible to achieve all these three attributes simultaneously. Indeed, previous attempts bring strong evidence to this claim. Bitcoin and Ethereum achieve full decentralization and security while being unable to scale. Attempts to scale blockchains such as Libra, EOS, and Tron have led to centralization of the authority and trust through a small group of entities. Finally, attempts to get decentralization and scalability in a blockchain system, such as IOTA and Ghost, have proven to be insecure. Is it possible to break the trilemma and achieve all these three together? To understand this better, we first need to know what these three axes are. By decentralization, what we mean is the power to make changes to the ledger should be distributed through the various entities. This distribution can be either proportional to the compute power, this is usually referred to as proof of work, or proportional to the stake in the system, the amount of coins in the system, for example, through mechanisms such as proof of stake. That's what we mean by decentralization. What do we mean by security? The algorithm should be secure against adversaries who are able to adapt according to the current state of the system. We also require that the system provide rational entities with incentives such that they have no gain by deviating from the protocol. When we say scalable, we actually mean two different things. The first attribute we call as vertical scaling. Vertical scaling means that the throughput scales with the resources per node. So you fix a number of nodes, increase the resources per node, and then see if the throughput scales to the physical limits of the system. We say that the system is latency optimal if the confirmation latency is close to the network latency, the time required for messages to propagate through the network. We say that the system is bandwidth efficient if the throughput can get close to the limits imposed by the network bandwidth. What do we mean by horizontal scaling? Horizontal scaling implies that the throughput scales as we increase the number of nodes without increasing the load per node. For example, the computational load per node should be fixed, but the throughput should be able to scale just because there are many more nodes. Similarly, storage efficiency refers to the ability to store a larger and larger ledger as we get more and more nodes. We note that these properties should be achieved without compromising security. That explains the three axes of the trilemma. And we say a protocol solves the trilemma only if it achieves all of these attributes simultaneously. Trifecta brings new breakthroughs in algorithms at various levels in order to solve the trilemma. So it is able to achieve full decentralization, security, and scalability. What does this mean in terms of applications? So if you take the core blockchain infrastructure today, for example, Ethereum is able to achieve 20 transactions per second, whereas many of the promised applications such as gaming, payments, exchanges, prediction markets require thousands of transactions per second. While upcoming projects like Dfinity and Algorand promise to improve this bound, they still saturate at 1000 transactions per second, even in their prototypes. And the reason for this is that they only achieve limited aspects of scaling, only the vertical scaling. In contrast, Trifecta, which has already been implemented, is able to achieve 250,000 transactions per second, thus enabling a whole host of new applications. If you want to know how Trifecta achieved this impressive feat, as well as want to see a demo of the protocol, please see our other videos. Thank you.